What is currently happening, programs? Welcome to The Grid, where I'll be bringing you this week's news in VR. It's Friday, the 26th of May, 2017, and all I can say this week is, get me a gun, I'm going in. We've got Farpoint's #2 debut, Townsmen VR, Aliens VR, HTC's Link, Blaze Rush, Detached, and much more. Today, I'm going to cover off the main events to keep you in the loop. So stay locked, crush that like button, enjoy, and welcome to The Grid.
What is currently happening, YouTube? Facepalm here, your friend in Oz and NZ, bringing you reviews, tutorials, and game clips, minus the You can follow me on Twitter at Facepalm with a 1, not an L. As for here on YouTube, if you like what you find, then like, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget to bring your game face. Let's get it done.
Now, if we could just get serious for a moment. This week, one of the most sadistic, violent, and mentally deranged pre-alpha developer previews appeared on the tube that is for me and you. The game is the sexistly titled Townsmen, and essentially the trailer video displays the violation of many a hapless personal bubble in the form of forced suicide, slavery, animal abuse, interference with personal property, the theft and senseless relocation of housing, repeated death by electrocution, dunking tea biscuit torture, the undrowning and caging of underwater floating cat foods, picking up stuff, dropping stuff, watching stuff, perving on big, hairy, manly men with big, no homo, serious cases of zoosadism and ringing one's own bell. And if you want my honest opinion on this abomination, I would have to say, fuck it, I'm in. This town has obviously raped away all the women, and I get to play the steel-helmeted hand of redemption in a mindless attempt at overcompensating superiority. And aside from being tied to this floating ball of dirt populated by a sausage forest full of sack-wearing medieval hippies, yeah, I could go me some Townsmen in VR. Not usually my cup of tea, but shit. If I'm having a bad day and want to rule an innocent world with a menacing date on this already established SimCity mobile game, cool. Moving on. Fox Next Destinations, which is one part of 20th Century Fox's Fox Next division, who recently bought us the Martian VR and Alien in Utero VR experiences, which is also made up of Fox Next Games and Fox Next VR Studio, have demoed an Alien VR experience to Hollywood Reporter, which is a proof of concept for a free-roaming 4-player Alien game in a 2,000 square foot play space. So, yeah, not an experience we can play at home on our Rift Survives, but an on-location theme park attraction. The attraction is being developed in conjunction with IP2 Entertainment and Pure Imagination Studios, and uses Gear VR headsets adapted to use IP2's own wireless VR technology in order for up to 4 people at once to dodge, shoot, and come face to face with threatening xenomorphs in an underground VR cave. Which, you know, as far as sentences go, that sounds pretty damn badass. In addition, the space you would play in includes environmental effects like heat, mist, a motion platform, and physical elements to really make your physical body feel like you are in that menacing situation. And on top of that, Fox Next is throwing prop guns with hand tracking and haptic effects into the mix, which is fucking Van Damme badass. And I'll be honest here, while at first I was like, for fuck's sake, give us Alien Isolation VR. When I thought about it, I was like, yo, this actually sounds legit, and it sounds like the future of interactive entertainment at theme parks, which would obviously introduce a large number of people to VR, which is even more exciting, and could be a great push for VR in general. And then I was like, oh yeah, I live in Australia. This probably won't be here for ages. So yeah. For fuck's sake, give us Alien Isolation VR. Shit. At any rate, I'm keen to see this Alien experience take off and wow audiences wherever it ends up. Also pushing the visibility of VR, Sony Interactive Entertainment's PSVR virtual reality first-person shooter game Farpoint has debuted at #2 on a UK sales chart. To put this in perspective, it was only bested by Injustice 2, which is an immensely popular non-VR beat-em-up that came in at the #1 spot. The game, which is generally being sold with an aim controller, though can be controlled using a DualShock 4 controller, surprisingly uses normal locomotion instead of teleportation by default, which is a gamble I'd love to see more of in high-end VR game are great. The actual game itself, outside of the VR mechanic, is rated VR or not, should predominantly be awarded on the core gameplay itself, and not just you would award any uniquely new mechanic in a standard flat game. And I also think that due to the fact that VR is so new, a reviewer could be forgiven for giving a game bonus points for being VR. But I also think that this is a dangerous trap to fall into, as once the shit yo, it's VR buzz wears off, games will need to stand up on their own merit by the integrity of the stories being told and the quality of the actual game itself. Just my 2 cents, and I digress. The fact that the aim control in this game is so highly praised thus far, and that the game is actually decent out so, while the number 2 spot on a UK chart is cool, the ripple effect of what this game demonstrates is even cooler. And also this week, while Google and the Vive brands, as well as Samsung, are getting behind Google's Daydream platform, HTC in tracking system via an external camera, and it also looks to be bundled with a remote. To me, this looks like HTC Nippon's answer to Oculus and Samsung fit in the market. It could be HTC's attempt at getting the population back on board. Blaze Rush has a free weekend this weekend, which runs from May 26th to 29th. And I would suggest that if you haven't tried this game out, you really should give it a burn. I bought the game a while back, and I still consider it a very worthwhile purchase, especially if you like Oculus Home for $24.99 US, and is a space exploration VR game where you have to solve various puzzles before your air supply runs out in a zero-G environment. The game also has a non-violent puzzle-solving PvP online. For this one, you will need a strong stomach, as this has a very no-holds-barred zero quite fast. Still, looks like some fun. Oculus Home Software 1.15 has started rolling out this week, which sees full support of 3-sensor 360-degree tracking. The Home software will also notify you of when an antivirus is blocking an application, or if the Rift is not plugged in to the most appropriate GPU. You can also kiss goodbye the health and safety reminders, amongst a couple of other minor tweaks. Individual Rift sensors are now available on Amazon and ship worldwide at a price of $59.99 US plus shipping. Nvidia has released a game-ready driver for Star Trek Bridge Crew so that you can be up and running. EXO logo to subscribe if you want to see more content, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace!